Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome to Positive Talk with everybody. I'm so glad that you're here. We've got a... I know. I say this every time, but I do truly mean it. We really have got a great guest for you today. And by the way, and I'm tailoring this to all the women out there, or people who'd like to be women, or people who act like women, or whatever. We've got a great guest, and she teaches people how to be a dramatic speaker and to get your truth and your voice listened to a wide range of people. And so she's a coach, she's an author, and her name is Debra Mrock. And Debra, it's such a pleasure having you here. How are you today?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic, and I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to have you, and I want to start by asking you, you've been called, and I think it's by more than one person, a force of nature. And with all the work that you do, how did it begin for you?
Well, that it still kind of shocks me when they call me that, and I have seen it too on like LinkedIn and stuff. They're like, okay, right? But I guess when I speak, I guess I am a force of nature. Usually I'm pretty quiet at home, but well, maybe my husband might disagree with that. But yeah. How did it start? Well, I guess it was always natural for me. And so kind of like what I've been talking about lately is how I really wanted to be a teacher my whole life. And I got a degree in my bachelor's degree in speech communication theater. I got my master's degree in education. I got my doctorate in transformational leadership. And I still never got an opportunity to be a teacher. And so here I've been trying, but then I got mad about all that. And then I woke up one day and I realized I've been teaching all along.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you got to teach out of the box, right? I mean, I was teaching in different ways. I was teaching on the radio. I've been on television. I was teaching groups how to do drama, how to play music, all along. And yet, because I didn't have a certificate on the wall, I thought I wasn't doing it. Now, of course, I do it by speaking, podcasts, and traveling all over the world, which is so much fun to be able to do that. A little scary right now, but still a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. Just wear your mask when you're traveling, I guess.
Yes.
Now, so I wanted, but now before we get too deep into it, Debra, I wanted to ask you, because you are an actor and you're an actor trainer and stuff. Because I'm a firm believer that everybody that's listening to this podcast or this radio show, regardless of where you're listening to it from, that you need to consider, or if you choose to consider, putting your child, if you have got a preteen or a teen or a teenager or even a young adult, to put them in improvisational acting. I want to get Debra's take on that. What do you think of improvisational acting, and does it help people?
I love improv. That's probably my favorite thing to do. It's so much fun. It really is. And yes, I have done that with a lot of schools, and the kids just have a great time because they don't have I guess I'd call it fear that we sometimes get as we get older. You know, you give them an idea and they just take it and they run with it. It will help develop not just speaking or acting, but it also helps to give you skills. You know, when you get in those situations in life and you're not sure what to do or say, improv can really be a help. I've used it many times. I just would go with what would come in my mind, you know.
Well,
So it gives
exactly.
you
And
boldness.
absolutely. And by the way, if you go to her website, which is She Roars, I love that, by the way, sheroarsboldly.com. And you can find out all about her work, and her journey through life, which has been, as everybody's is, a bit of a challenge from moment to moment and time to time. And but you're doing well. And speaking, as we close the book on improv, I just wanted to say, if you have a youngster that is a little shy, or you want to get them to understand their gifts and to really blossom, improvisational acting can help them in so many ways. Be it speaking, be it being a sales guy, being able to walk up to a guy and do a cold call, and be confident enough that you can get that done and not be scared and stuff. It is so important. So, but you've done that, you've done radio, you've done podcasts. What's your favorite part?
Oh, wow. I love being in front of a live audience, the speaking part. When I get up there, it's adrenaline and, you use that fear and it's so much fun because you can look
And
at all the people and see. But it's funny what you just said about you can use that if you're shy.
yep.
I was shy. I am an introvert. But when I was 17, I got tired of being in the background. And just one day I decided, well, I'm just going to act like I'm not. And I turned and talked to the first person behind me. And now it's become who I am. So, yes, I absolutely have used improv to develop relationships, friendships, and it just happened. And so, yes, that's interesting that you said that. I love that.
You know, it's interesting. What I find is that people want to hear from us. And if you are shy, or you're quiet and you're reserved, and you're not letting people know who you are, that in many ways you're kind of cheating their experience of you. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, exactly. You have something to give. Everybody out there has something to give. And I know a lot of people, and particularly young people, and a lot of older people just don't think they do, but they do have something to give. We all have something inside of us that someone else can use. If it's even just talking to someone and letting them know that somebody notices that they exist.
That's a big deal. That's a big, you know, and I drove a bus for 12 years, and there were lots and lots of people that nobody talked to.
Mm.
They were either homeless, or they were very quiet or whatever, and they might go a whole day without anybody saying hello to them. And I thought that was just a crime. You know, that there, and so I made it my mission not to do that and to say hello to everybody. It
Right.
surprised a lot of people, but at the
Yeah.
same time, they were grateful because somebody actually looked at them and smiled occasionally.
Yeah. It's a gift you can give and it doesn't cost anything.
It's really cheap smiling and saying
Yeah,
hello to
it's really
somebody.
cheap. I love that.
But at the same time, it's also very, very rewarding, not only for them, but for you as well. Don't you think?
Exactly, because it puts a smile on your face if you can see somebody else's face light up. And particularly with young people and children, it never hurts to be kind, or older people. It doesn't hurt to be kind and to give them a smile and a hello. Costs nothing.
You know, and there are a lot of older folks, us not being among them, that feel like their life has been kind of, so they're kind of rough and tumble, and they're not, and they're kind of gruff and stuff like that. Even those
Mhm.
people can be reached,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
and they
Sometimes
appreciate it no
it's
end.
just a shell and you just got to get past it.
Yes. So, Deborah, explain to us about She Roars Boldly. How'd you come up with the name, and what are you doing with it today?
Okay, yeah. Actually, I'm not even totally sure. I was kind of brainstorming with a lady that does some of my media for me, and I'm like, okay, I need a trademark. What can I do? And we were just throwing some things out, and then I saw a lion, a lioness with a cub, and then I started thinking about the lioness and how she actually does the hunting and she does the taking of the kids and she does the protecting of the children. And I thought, that's kind of roaring. And then Boldly came in there, and I was lucky enough, nobody had it. And I said, that's it. She roars boldly. And I think that means not just that we're loud or we're big. It means that, like a lioness, we're fierce and we protect people and we give and we're strong as women.
Oh, exactly. Now being a lion has its advantages too, because all they do is sit around, sleep, eat, and procreate.
Yes. Well, she does all that work. Every now and then they get up and fight somebody, but they do a lot of the hunting.
Yeah, the lionesses are really
Yes,
they wear
they
the
are.
pants in the
They're the
family.
hunter, the protector. People don't realize that. I didn't until I really started studying it. And I said, yeah. And that isn't that what most women do? I mean, they protect their kids, their family, and they will fight you if you come after their children.
Oh yes. Oh yes. And the interesting thing is so many women that's all they do. They go to work, they they have the kids, they protect the kids, they go to work, they feed the kids,
Yeah.
they put the kids to bed. They look at the husband who's reading the paper on his easy chair, sipping a beer or whatever, and she says, and then he says, "So, what did you do today?" And she's like, "Oh my God, have you any idea? I've been busy from the time I got up." One of my co-hosts says she has 3 or 5 kids, and she says, "I got up at 4:30 this morning to start getting everybody ready for school." It's like,
Oh yeah.
and your husband was asleep.
It's kind of funny how we pattern wildlife, or wildlife patterns us. I don't know. I guess maybe they came from, I don't know who came from. Yeah.
But we
really
do.
true.
And so you focus on women because she roars boldly, and you help women recognize their own worth and be able to do that
Mhm.
through your coaching and stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, and it's funny because I started out, and a lot of times you'll hear people's advice over and over again when you're starting in a business. And I took it for a while, and then I threw it out because that's me. I throw things out that I really look at, and it turns out not logical. And they were saying, well, you got to pick an age group. You got to pick this or that. And when you do that, I found out you limit yourself, because it turned out that when I talk, my message, it reaches young women, really young women, teenagers, all the way up to 80-year-olds. So
Yep.
why am I limiting myself? Because they need to hear what I'm saying.
And they used to tell me that, oh, you, as a podcaster, you need to niche down. You need to niche down. And it's like, I cannot. It doesn't serve me at all, because everybody
No.
needs to hear these messages.
Right. Exactly. I
And it
don't know.
doesn't
They
matter
say
where you
it's a niche, but sometimes you just gotta blow the niche wide open.
are. And that's why you do what you do, and why you are
And
an
you know what's
absolute
funny?
powerhouse.
You know what's even funnier? Men like what I say.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. So, when I'm speaking, sometimes men are in the group, particularly when I'm doing like Lords or GRC, global research, and they like to hear what I have to say. I didn't think they would, but they do. And that taught me not to prejudge an audience.
Exactly, because you don't know what their experiences have been, or where they are, or where they want to go. And one of the reasons why they're in that particular room listening to you is because you have a message that has resonated with them in some manner or form.
Yeah, they stand right up with them. How I end now is my superhero. I've been doing my superhero speech. It's changed a couple times, but what I do now is at the end, I have everybody raise their hand and say after me, I promise I'll use my superpower. I promise that I will develop my superpower. I promise I will let no one stop me. And the men and the women are all standing and yelling it. It's so much fun.
Well, and that's what everybody wants, is to be able to, use their superpower. But when we come back from this break, I got to ask you, there are so many people who have no earthly idea what their superpower is, how to access it, and how to bring it to the surface and
Mm-hmm.
approach it without fear of rejection and all of those things. We're going to talk about that when we come back because this
Right.
is very important.
It is.
Dr. Mrock is with us, and by the way, if you are without fear and you want to be a real estate agent, but you're not having any success because you can't find any leads or anybody to work with you, I've got a guy that you need to talk to because he can help. So we're going to play this right now.
You became a real estate agent for freedom, success, and real momentum. So why are you still stuck waiting for closings to save you? I'm Ophir Adar, founder of Real Momentum, and I help agents like you become seven-figure earners. My first client that I coached, brand new agent, made $250,000 back in 2006. What's the secret? You feed your white wolf. That's the part of you that's bold and unstoppable and a closer and able to build rapport quickly. So click Get Listings at Real Momentum and let's unleash your real estate potential.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And yes, Debra Mrock is here, and she's a wonderful teacher and a coach and an actor, and she's been on many podcasts, and she does all kinds of things, and she works with people to help them learn their best life. Have you heard of the expression feed your white wolf?
Say that again. It broke up a little. Sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. Have you ever heard the expression feed your white wolf?
Actually, no, I haven't.
Okay, let me just tell you the quick story about that. It's an old Indian proverb, and the elder is sitting by the fire, and a couple of young kids come up and they said, "What are we going to do with ourselves? How are we going to live? Sometimes I have this dark side and I have this bright side," and the elder said, "Well, we each have a choice, and we have an opportunity. We can either." We all have a dark side, we all have a dark wolf, and we also have a white wolf. And they said, "Well, how do I know which one's going to win?" The kid said. And the elder said, "Which one are you feeding? Are you feeding your white wolf of
Wow.
boldness and power and living your best life, or are you allowing to feed the dark wolf, which is darkness and negativity and the fear and all that kind of stuff?" So that's and
Love
I
it.
love that. Yeah,
I need to
it's
borrow that.
yeah. Well, we all do it at one manner or form, but I wanted to ask you, when you're working with people, how do you help them find their superpower?
We all know what our superpower is. We really do. We just haven't termed it that. And why I know that is because when I get in front of an audience and I'm saying, I go through my superpower, how I found it, blah blah blah, and then I look at them and I say, "But everybody here has a superpower," and they'll go, and then I say, "It's something you love to do. It's something when you do it, you get a great big smile, and your heart lifts." For me, it's teaching people. For other people, maybe it's being in the health field and helping people to live better or to eat better, or to maybe you're an author and you just love sitting down with the written word. It's something maybe you don't do all the time, but it's something when you do it, this is it. I wish I could do this all the time for my life.
You
And we
know,
all have that thing. Yours is obviously radio.
well,
It glows from you.
well, and I'll tell you, It all started back 100 years ago when I was I had tried several jobs, and I was a shoe salesman, lady shoe salesman. I hated that. Women are so difficult to deal with. and and I was a construction worker, and I did build cabinets, and I was a night stalker at a Fred Meyer, not that kind, the kind that does shelves, um, at Fred Meyer. And I never found my calling until I went to work. I started as a graveyard dishwasher at Denny's, and then they said, "Well, you can talk, and you seem to be able to walk and stuff, so we'll make you a host." And I used to love meeting people. And remember this? In those days, it was hi, two, yes. Did you want
Yes.
smoking or none? Now those
Yeah. No more. Thank goodness.
them days are gone. But I got the biggest kick out of taking people and sitting them down and saying something nice to them, and then saying something nice to me. And it was a great interaction with people. And that's when I learned that my job was to be, in whatever form it took, was to be of service. And this is just an extension of that.
Oh yes, definitely. But I mean, inside of most people, because I'll have them just stop and I'll say, you know what it is. And on the count of three, I don't give them a lot of time. On count of three, yell it out. And people are always, everybody in the audience yells something out. Because we do know inside of us what we want to do. We may not know how to do it. We may not know where to do it. But we do know something inside of us that we love. And it could be taking care of children. It's different with every one of us. But we know inside us, if we don't think too hard, can't think too hard, because you'll talk yourself out of it.
Well, and I love what you do, which is like on the spur of the moment, 1, 2, 3, go, because then they don't have a chance to talk themselves out of it. Oh,
Right.
if I say a singer and they told me I can't sing and stuff, and rather than this is what you're all about, and that's self-instructive for them as well, I would imagine.
Exactly.
I, as a matter of fact, I'm willing to bet if you had a husband and wife that are sitting there and you did that exercise and one of them said something and the other one will look at him and go, I never knew that about you. Has that ever happened?
Got it. Particularly, I would say, and I'm not prejudging, the men would shock their wives. Because women tend to share a lot more, sometimes for men too much, but men tend to keep that kind of thing inside themselves. Maybe he might yell out, I want to be a woodworker. And she'd go, I never know you wanted that. Why don't you get the tools? Why don't you do it? Why don't you take some classes? That's, but too often, I don't know if we're afraid we're going to get judged or what, but when everybody's yelling, nobody can hear what you're saying. And I promise them that. So yell real loud so somebody can hear it because, and it's a lot more comfortable for them to acknowledge that. But once they acknowledge it, I don't feel they can take it back. They can try to, but it's going to be in the front of their brain now.
Exactly. Once they have identified that, how in that setting do you help them process it and to go to the next level with it?
Well, what I do, and I mainly talk to women because this is a definite woman situation, trying to be nice about it, but we've all been here. There's two things that stop us women from, well, I asked my husband one night, I said, hey, what do you do? What's your day? And he goes, well, I go to work. I like my job. And I come home and I watch sports. That's a guy. Ask a woman what she does with her day. And I think we just talked about that, didn't we? She has to get the kids up at 5 a.m. She got to get the breakfast, make sure the lunch is done, make sure the kids are where they're supposed to be. After school, they got to be in different places. She probably works. She may even, volunteer at different places, her church or a community center. She's got 100 things that she's focusing on. The problem with that is she's not developing as a whole who she is and her superpower. And that's the main end of my speech, is challenge them to learn what we tell our 2- and 3-year-olds not to say. Learn to say the word no. And they love it. I mean, the women just really love it. And I even practice. I walk up and say, well, if I asked you to, and no, and some go, like, no, to me. And I'm like, okay. But
And
they love it because somebody gave them permission to do stuff they don't even want to do.
or
And
don't
that
know
doesn't
what's
mean you don't take care of your kids and your family, but it does mean maybe you need to be thinking, are you doing some things just because you feel obligated or because you think somebody will be mad at you that you don't even like doing?
Oh, that happen I'm sure that happens all the time.
Tons, trust me, as a woman. Yeah, I did it for years. Now I'm doing what I love. And yeah, you know, sometimes somebody's not going to like it or they aren't used to the change in you. But I'm telling you, what we're leaving a legacy as moms and grandparents for our daughters, our nieces, and for other young women out there. And the legacy we leave should be that we have gifts inside of us. And when we're not using them and we're not developing them, it's not being selfish to do that. It's selfish not to, because the gift I have can change people's lives. The gift you have can change people's lives. The gifts other women have can change people's lives. And if they're spread out all over the place, they're not doing that. And this really, really resounds with women. It really does. I don't know how I came to this point, but I just thought, we've got to do it. It's okay to say no.
Except if you ask their husband. He may say, oh, you can't say no to me. But the interesting thing is that you're right. Women in our society have been
Right.
brought up to be caregivers. And
Yeah.
so they end up being a caregiver to everybody but themselves.
Instead of being the caregiver with their talents are.
Yeah.
So they got these amazing talents inside of themselves, and they're not giving those to the people who need it. They may be doing things like running a bazaar over at this fundraiser thing, and they hate it, and they don't even want to do it. They don't really know what they're doing. And so the first thing I ask them to give up is things that they don't even like to do. And they probably, if you don't like to do it, it works the opposite of, your gift. Is if you don't like to do it, you probably aren't that good at it. We don't like to do things that we feel that we're awkward with or we're not doing well. Women are overachievers as a whole. So why are you saying yes to something that you can't do or you don't want to do because you don't, it's not your gift. It's not what you do well.
That's
so we
right.
can start right there saying no to things that we don't even like.
And they only do it because that's what I'm supposed to do.
Exactly. That's what I'm supposed to do. And I'm trying to break that. I really seriously am.
Well, the older I get, the more I realize how awesome women are and what they could be contributing to society that they're in many ways not, because of the preconditioning that they've had from years and years and years and years. But
Yes.
we are losing 50% of the brain power of this country and of the world because many cultures, many people consider women, you need to stay in your place and you need to do this. They're considered less than. We need to get rid of that. I'm glad you're doing the work you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at you can probably name all these men, but you look at the women, there's only a handful that are actually doing that. And they sometimes get a negative connotation towards them. And that's sad. But, sometimes you got to do it anyway, because you've got people who can help out there. Fortune 500 companies, that's my big thing. And I've used that a lot. Back in 1990, I studied Meg Whitman because my husband was working for HP Enterprises. And she was one of 27 women in Fortune 500 companies as a CEO. And she was just part of Hewlett Packard. She was in the enterprise part, with the the computers and, the techs. But today, I haven't looked up lately, but I'd say about 6 months ago, I looked and there were, I think, 74, hundreds and hundreds of men in Fortune 500 companies as CEOs, but so few women.
74 out of in the whole country.
Yeah, I'm not
Absolutely.
exactly sure what today is. I could look it up, but
Well, it's
yeah,
probably
because I
probably
know it's
close.
not much more than when I looked the last time. It just, as of 2020, there was, I believe, 72. The last
That's
chart I saw, but yeah, it's sad, and there's hundreds of men, and I'm not saying men can't do a great job. I'm just saying, what if you, like, Hewlett Packard had several CEOs in different fields. What if you have men and women both in those fields? Meg was the only one back then. She was kind of a breaker, but if you have men and women sitting at the table together, you can get a broad perspective for advertising. You can get a broad perspective for, operations, because you're looking at it from two different viewpoints.
Oh, exactly. And especially if you are trying to get the word out about your company and through advertising and stuff. By the way, I don't know if you know this, I'm sure you do. Most of the products that are brought into the house are purchased by the mom, by the wife, and men
Oh, yeah.
have a tendency to go to the store and then leave because they get what they came for, and then that's it. Where women, they buy everything in the house. And so marketing wise, I think marketing to women would make a whole lot of sense. I know they talk about it, but I don't think they do it effectively. And
And they should have a say in the products.
oh,
Yeah,
think
because
that would be
he's
so
usually not
easy.
doing the dusting, okay, or
Exactly.
washing the floor, or even doing the dishes, the kids in the white bar,
Exactly. By the way, we're talking with Dr. Debra Mrock, and go to Mrock or Mrock?
What?
Is
Oh,
it
to get a
Mrock
hold
or
of me?
no? Is it Mrock or Mrock? Your last name?
Marat.
Mrock. Gotcha. And go to our website, which is sheroarsboldly.com. We need to take our halftime break. And when we come back, I want to ask her the difference between a woman CEO and a man CEO, where a man can be um, difficult and directive and he's driven, where a woman can be opinionated and stuff. And she's called another word that I
Yeah,
don't want to go
that
into.
we're not gonna say.
Yeah, we'll be right back after this.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. That's me. And Dr. Debra Mrock is with us. She's a coach. She is a thought leader, and she works with women to help women realize that they can be more than they've been told that they are. Is that true?
Yes.
And
But
go ahead.
I was thinking while we went on the break, what you were saying, and it's not just women. I think some men need to hear that too, because if you think different than the standard flow, they're not heard either.
That's true.
It is true. And yet we need to break some of the things that have been in place forever, because we're going to, if you keep doing the, well, old thing, keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same results. And if those results aren't stellar, then something needs to change.
And there's always the thought that there are new thoughts and new ways of doing things that can be more effective. But there are
Exactly.
companies and there are people that will say, oh, no, 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 we've always done it that way. So that's how we're going to do it. But it's oftentimes less effective than new ways of thinking, new ways of being. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. One of the things I studied was organizational development. So yeah, I've seen it, and I've seen a lot. My husband's worked for a lot of different companies, a network manager, and I'm not going to list them here, but I've seen some that where that happens, where things get kind of boggled down in the companies because change is so hard for anybody. And it is hard. It's hard for an individual, let alone a company. So, that's a whole nother talk.
Well, yeah, and there are some of those who are trailblazers in a way because
Right.
they're interested in creating a new way of being. As an example, I don't know who it was, but somebody thought about, hey, you know what? I'll bet you if we put a a daycare facility in our big plant that our sick out rate would go down because they would have a place to put their kids and stuff. And somebody thought that was a radical idea at one point. Now it's happening
Right.
all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, well, let's just take Bezo. I mean, he started in his garage with a bunch of books because his wife was an author. And
Yeah,
look what happened, Amazon.
and
And
that's something.
yeah,
Yeah.
that blew the world apart.
Oh, and
Changed a lot.
there were years when they were, oh no, Amazon's not going to be successful and stuff. They have
Oh
got
yeah.
a they've got a fulfillment site in the town that I live in that is the biggest building in town because they go
Oh,
through
they're
so much
huge.
product.
Yeah. Actually, my husband did a build for them in network here in Wisconsin, and it is 4 stories high. It is so huge. They had to do like an airplane thing with the curved top. Otherwise, the building would collapse. That's how huge the building is. He did the network part, but yeah, the building was with robots. It's wow. Yeah, it's huge.
And that's all because he started, Bill Gates is another one. And
Yeah,
Paul Allen, they
they're
started.
trailblazers. We need more women and men to get out there and blaze those trails and change the world.
And women can play an important part of that because, well, as an example, you're a very educated woman. You've got a PhD and you're a doctor and you've done a lot of different things. I'm glad you're out there doing the work that you're doing because you can be a shining example. I want you to remember Rod Serling. He used to say, "I picture, if you will," and I want you to picture, if you will, you're talking in front of a group, and there's a 17-year-old child who is a female child that is there and she doesn't feel fulfilled, and you give her hope that she can do and be whoever she chooses to be, and she ends up changing the world, creating something dynamic and making
Yeah,
it all
that's
happen.
a teacher's dream. It's
Well,
actually funny. The best compliment I got was from a person just like that. I can't say the compliment because it has some language, but um, that was the best speech I've ever heard. She had tears in her eyes.
and that will carry with her.
That touched my heart.
Well, and see, but isn't that Dr. Deborah? Isn't that why you wanted to be a teacher? Why you are a teacher? Why you're a coach? Why you're doing all the things that you
Exactly.
do? To have somebody that you might not even recognize come up to you and say, I was in one of your seminars 10 years ago, and you changed my life, and now I'm the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, and I
Uh,
owe it all to you.
yeah, that'd be incredible.
Oh, I would not be a bit surprised that it hasn't happened yet because it will if it hasn't. because I think that times they be a changing, and I think they're changing in a good way, because I think people. Well, tell me your experience. Are people not putting up with this the way that they used to?
I think it's right on the pinnacle. You know what I mean? It's kind of right on that border, and I think it's ready to be pushed over to the other side.
I agree.
I
What's it going
agree.
to take? What's it
Yeah,
going to take to push it over?
yeah, people, I mean, it's not just, people who are vocal, but I think in regular people's lives, they're saying, okay, this isn't working. There's got to be something else. And particularly young people are going, there's something else. I don't know what it is, but there's something else.
It's interesting because it's happening at a younger age than it used to. It used
Oh,
to
yeah.
be that it would be like a midlife crisis, and you were in your 40s and stuff, when you would say, well, my life is half over. What am I here to do? I want to leave an imprint. I want to leave a legacy and stuff. Now, kids that are 25, 26, 27 are saying, I want to leave a legacy. I want to do what makes me
Right.
happy, not what I've been told I have to do.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking to a woman in church, and she's in her 70s, and she's just like, you got to accept what the doctor says. You got to accept what this says. You got to accept this. You got to accept that. And I'm going, actually, no, you don't. And she's like, but that's that generation. They're still like, well, I don't know anything, but you do. She taught high school for over 40 years. She knows things. She knows kids. But sometimes I think we just don't trust ourselves and what we know.
It is amazing to me that at one time I used to take my microphone and recorder and record people. It was called Family Legacies, and you'd be amazed how many older people, when you say, I want to tell your life story, and they say, oh, my life story is not worth telling. There's nothing there. And so I got a couple people to do it, and one turns out that he was working with George Patton in World War II.
Oh,
And
wow.
he was on his chief. He was like his chief of staff as they were racing across Europe to save us from the Nazis. And then he left the army, and he went to Hollywood, and he met Bob Hope and Bing Crosby and and he said, oh, my life is nothing. I haven't done anything. It's like, who are you kidding?
I got
But
chills just then. I would love to have met that guy. I have a lot of questions.
exactly. And so we did that. And there was another one that they were from the same era. And you may be old enough to remember soda fountains and a soda jerk, is what they used to call it. Somebody that worked behind the fountain and they made sundaes, and they made other works and soda stuff. And she said she saw a young man coming in, and he was in his uniform, and he said hi, and she said hi, and he said, I'm leaving day after tomorrow to go overseas. Can we go on a date tonight? And she said, yeah, I'm off at 6. Meet me here and we'll go on a date. They went on a date, had a wonderful time, and he came back the next day and said, I'm leaving tomorrow morning. Will you marry me? And because I don't know if I'm ever going to be back. I'm going to the front, and I don't know if so would you marry me? And she said, yes, I'll marry you. 55 years later, when he finally passed away, and they had 6 kids between them and were together the whole time, and she didn't think her story mattered. Can you believe that?
Every one of our stories matter. Every single one of ours. And every one of our gifts matter. And that's what I try to get across when I'm talking to people, men and women, because I do talk to both. They both show up. Even at a women's conference, you'll have guys there. But, our stories matter. Our gifts matter. Don't think that your story or your gift is not important, you don't know whose life you could change if you share that gift, if you share that story, if you share that talent. You have no idea. Maybe you'll just influence, let's say you're a teacher in a classroom and you share something and that kid grows up and becomes an important person, president of the United States or something. You don't know who you're talking to when you're talking and giving your gift. You don't know the legacy you're giving. So don't hide it and don't think it's not important. It is so important.
It is vital, because we all have and like you said, we all have a contribution that we can make. We all have different gifts. We need to honor those gifts, because that's why we came here. That's why we were born, is to honor the gifts that we have, and to utilize them for the betterment of mankind. I know you agree with
Right.
that.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And
Absolutely.
by the way, we're talking with Dr. Debra Mrock, and we're going to need to take Debra Mrock. I put an
Just
S
call
in
me
there.
Dr. Deborah. Everybody does.
Dr. Debra, and
It's easier.
exactly, and so we need to take our final break, and when we come back, I want to talk about. I'm looking at a poster of you, which is leadership, management, positive psychology. Is that some of the things you speak about as well? And well, I hope so, because if not, anyway, we'll find out when we come back. So
When the game is on the line, championship teams know the game plan. They communicate and work together to win. We all need a game plan to protect ourselves online. Talk to family and friends so they know how to stay safe too. Create strong passwords, turn on multi-factor authentication, update software, and recognize and report phishing, because online safety is not something you want to fumble. Get more game-winning tips at CISA.gov/secure our world. Then share them with family and friends.
And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin McDonald, and Dr. Debra is with us. And I want to read this to our audience, because I think it's very important. And so don't blush. This is about you. Debra empowers women to roar boldly and live fearlessly, and you leave feeling like you can take on the world. If you want a dynamic, unforgettable conference keynote speaker with expertise in public speaking for women, speaking at conferences and leadership group coaching, Dr. Debra is the one. Does that describe you as to a T?
Yes, it does.
And isn't that fun? And when you think about that, and you have people write about you like that, that has to make you feel like you're accomplishing the mission that you came here to do.
Yeah, it's like I said, it still surprises me. I mean, I have my own, we all have things we struggle with, but when people are telling me with some of the things they say, I'm like, wow, I guess I did do what I set out to do. You always wonder, don't you?
You do.
The impact you're making. And when you hear you're impacting somebody, I don't think there's a better feeling than knowing that you've
Yep.
reached someone, you've helped someone.
And that it is humbling, but it's also the highest calling that you can have.
Yeah, I believe that.
To help somebody
Absolutely.
with their own journey.
Exactly.
Because you're not giving them your journey. You're helping them realize that I'm Dr. Debra. I can do it. And if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah. It's being a teacher.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's what you try to give the kids. It's what you try to give the adults you're teaching. Their own journey. You don't want little clones of you, because they couldn't be that.
No.
They've got to just be the best them.
And you never know what you're going to help create. It could be a work of art. It could be a poem. It could be a book. It could be a song. It could be anything that they have within them that they don't know that they've got it within them. And they need somebody to help them bring it out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's even more than that, they don't know their limits until they actually start. we don't know how far they can go. They don't know how far they can go. I don't know how far I can go. I'm not done. You're not done.
Nope.
Who knows what we're going to be even a year from now and what we're going to be doing. You know, there's so much possibility out there, and there's so many people that need help, need encouragement, need positive talk radio, need to roar boldly.
Yes, absolutely. I can tell you the only thing that I know probably for sure that I'm never going to be is a 20-year-old girl. But that's probably
I don't want to be a 20-year-old.
those were tough times, I know. And
Yeah.
and we learned so much, and the experiences that we've had, and not every experience that you've had has been necessarily positive, but we learn from everything that we've gone through and have been through, and all the you remember all the work that you did going through school and all the classes that you took. You
Right.
learned something from all your professors and all your teachers and everybody that you worked with that you can now carry forward into your own work. I'll bet you do that all the time.
Yeah, actually, I just did the podcast yesterday. I was thinking I had a aging teacher. She was like 84, I believe, and she was really big in gerontology. I took a one-on-one sociology semester with her because I needed some extra credits, and she took me across the globe, and she taught me don't see age, see people. She was vibrant, strong. She actually died on a plane coming home from cancer from doing a workshop at a conference. This woman is my idol and what I aim to be. So, wow, yeah. There's definitely people out there doing it all.
And you know what? And it's not like it's drudgery and it's difficult. They're having the time of their life.
Oh, she was vibrant and happy all the way to the end. Nothing stopped her.
Well, and you know, there's some questions about what the end actually is and all that kind of stuff, and we don't need to go into that here. But I can tell you, if we can all live like she did, and on our last day on this planet,
Right.
say, I can live my life. I lived my life and I had no regrets. I think
Right.
that's the biggest thing.
I think that is the best. I mean, that's the name. We should all aim for that. We did all we could, that we've accomplished everything we could, and have a smile on our face.
That's right. That's right. And by the way, we're going to run out of time here in just a couple of minutes, but I wanted to give you ample time to be able to tell our audience anything that you would like them to know, any messages, any lessons that you have, and stuff like that. Anything that you'd like them to know.
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's never too late. I think that's my biggest thing. Because I also speak at aging conferences too. And because aging is being rewritten today. But it's never too late to do what you have dreamed of doing. It's never too late to go back to school. It's never too late to learn something new. It's never too late to teach something new. It's never too late to do what is in your heart. So don't think you're too old or you're too this or too that. It's never ever too late. People have proven that over and over again. People even with serious illnesses have gone forward and done some miraculous, amazing things that change people's lives. It's never too late for you.
And you know, the interesting thing is, I don't know about you, but I may look a certain age and I may chronologically be called a certain age, but I don't feel a certain age. Do you?
No, it's that you wake up, look in the mirror and go, who's that? Because you feel like you're 20 yet. Well, that is until you try to jog, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, yeah. And so there is a school to be had that don't look in the mirror anymore, because it does, if it doesn't serve you, but you know, it builds character, and you've got your life work has done a lot for folks. By the way, and we should have talked about this by now. Have you got a book out, or is there a book in you that's a
Yes,
coming?
I do have a book out. Right now I've got the digital copy, just went on to Amazon. It's called From Ordinary to Extraordinary, Mastering the Art of Dramatic Speaking. And it's more a workbook. It's simple to read. I'm funny. And I made it very clear, very simple. You can start in the middle or anything you want. And this isn't just for people who want to get up on the stage and talk well. If you're a teacher, if you're, an executive, or is it PR person, or that you're working any kind of working environment, and you want your presentations to be stellar, it gives you some fun techniques for those too. I mean, granted, you're not going to come out with lightsabers like I do, but there's still techniques that you can do to improve your speaking, and that are simple and easy. And we know, I've listened to some of my husband's not his, but people presenting online, and I'm just like, oh, they need some help. Because, it's just blah, 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 blah. And everybody's they're doodling, But you can actually make an exciting presentation at work.
And that's important. And so
Yes.
if you need some guidance in that, Dr. Debra would be the great way to go. So go get her book, which is, and by the way, it says coming soon here, but it's out now?
It's in the paperback's not there. If you go over to Amazon, it's actually on Amazon in the ebook section.
Oh, cool.
From Ordinary to Extraordinary, Mastering the Art of Dramatic Speaking. I don't know
and she has been an acting and in drama for 30 years. So you started when you were 5.
Actually, I did. I had my first big break. I was Virgin Mary in the Christmas pageant of our town. I was a star.
Were you really?
Yes. I actually did star when I was 5.
How old were you then?
This is freaking cool.
How old were you when you did that show?
Well, I was 5 then, and then I started. I went into dance lessons and performances, and 5 on.
You've been a performer all your life, and
yeah,
in one manner or form, and now you're performance teaching, and you're helping.
Well, I teach that way too. Like when I teach kids and in schools, sometimes I go in. I teach that way too. I make them get up and do things and have fun, and I believe in interactive learning, and in all subjects. Math's a little hard, but I don't do math. I can't do math.
Well, get up and count your toes, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hands, fingers. I don't know.
Hands. Yeah. But by the way, we've been talking.
I did do it. I did come up with, the kids couldn't understand it, so I had them walk it. So I guess I do it even in math.
You did a fine job, Doctor. Dr. Debra's been our guest, and go get her book, From Ordinary to Extraordinary, Master the Art of Dramatic Speaking, because it can serve you well, regardless of whether you're going to be in front of people, behind a microphone, or just talking to your neighbor over the fence and getting what you're trying to say effectively communicated.
Exactly. We all communicate all the time,
whether we want to or not.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Some of us, like me and you, we like it.
Yes, we do. I want to thank everybody for being here, and anything else before we go, Doctor?
No, that's about it. Just that we all need to be roaring boldly. Every one of us.
That's right. Go to sheroarsboldly.com, get all the information and buy the book and do all that stuff there. And I want to thank you,
If you need
Doctor.
somebody to speak, I'm there too. So just get a hold of me. There's a form to fill out.
And there you be. Thank you so much, my dear. You have yourself a wonderful day, and I hope everybody else does as well.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin